And the fact that he has some weird hate for Nikki Bella, he kind of threw that in there. I didn't want to elaborate on it a little
It's
bit,
not
but
a
he doesn't
weird
like
hate.
Nikki
I
Bella.
didn't like the
Bella
Divas
Army,
division.
Bella Army, take all of your hate and head on over to Mr. Tesh, at Mr. Tesh, all over social media, please.
Welcome back to Straight Shoe, guys. Jack and I are jumping into the deep end with, I'm going to say, one of the perfectly built and executed women's events I think I've ever seen. Yes, we've only had 2 women's evolutions, but when it comes to women's wrestling, this may have been a 10 out of 10, Jack. Everything about the women's evolution 2 just said, we need more of this, book it right, and we are going to accept what we are given, because this was incredible. Jack, please tell me your first thoughts coming out of, 30 minutes outside of the women's evolution?
Remember the first evolution? Yeah, I think it was 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. That was supposedly like the biggest breakthrough for women's ever in professional wrestling, right? They get their own PLE. It was a pay-per-view at the time. All women's card. You had big names. You had Charlotte Flair. You had Becky Lynch. You had Ronda Rousey, Trish Stratus. As Bully Ray would say, you sister's ass. You know, like you had everything, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't even compare to what we saw tonight. That wasn't just one of the greatest women's PLEs. That's not just the greatest women's PLE of all time. That's probably one of the better PLEs overall from a WWE standpoint that we've seen in 2025.
Yep.
And that's saying a lot, because there's been a lot of great moments in 2025 in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment and TKO. That, from top to bottom, had you on your feet. Every single match had a story. Every single match was entertaining. I think we could agree that the Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Team match was kind of all over the place, and I was kind of lost at times.
We'll get
even
to
with
that.
the rules. But other than that, it started off with a bang. It ended with an even bigger bang that I didn't see coming, considering what we saw like an hour before that. I thought that was one of the greatest PLEs from a standpoint of, I didn't really have any expectations going in. I knew it was a great card and that they were going to kind of go all out, considering that we're only 3 weeks away from SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium in Jersey. But Atlanta, Georgia got one hell of a weekend after, in my opinion, a very subpar and underwhelming Saturday night's main event due to certain circumstances.
Yeah.
But they got one hell of a show on Sunday night.
2 comments I'm going to make there. First one is, we can focus on how good this was, because you said out of all the PLEs of 2025, we are in a avenue. We're going down a road with women's wrestling right now where the women are stepping up. Like the pop for Stephanie Vaquer, the pop for Rhea Ripley. Again, which is crazy to me, the pop for Alexa Bliss. She seems like she is one of the most over females in the locker room, and since her return, she's really done nothing. It's crazy. That's crazy to me. Booked from open to close, this was one of the best PLEs of 2025, and you could argue of the last couple of years, because you didn't see what was coming next.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And you also mentioned about like how Atlanta was given something special. I bet there are thousands of people within tri-state Atlanta, out in Georgia, the states surrounding Georgia, saying, damn, yeah, I missed out on buying a ticket to the Women's Evolution, because what they sell, 6,000, 6,800 tickets? And that stadium is what, 12,000? 13,000 maybe?
Roughly.
So
Yep.
I bet there's a lot of people kicking themselves right now saying, shit, I missed out on one hell of a live event. That's the first thing that came to mind, actually, at probably the second match of the night. I was like, yeah, I wish I was at this event. This match is cooking. And the rest of it just played off. So let's run into the entire show, kicking off with the triple threat. Now, it was funny with the triple threat. I thought this was going to be a title change due to the events that happened at Saturday night's main event. I think WWE was going to do a complete overhaul with what they were doing and maybe let Becky Lynch take some time off. So I guess our announcement for Monday Night Raw or whenever this episode airs, I guess we're not going that way. I guess Becky is still going to stay on the road, and we are going to have her as the IC champion with the results of this match. But these women, it felt... Have you ever been at a training center or a performance center when they're told to just go in the ring and it's just like, I don't care how fast you go, you need to go 5 times faster? Lyra, Bayley, and Becky went for, I believe, what was 12, 13 minutes. And there was such a pace to it that made it feel like they knew they need to hype this crowd up. I loved every second of this match, and I've already seen the comments on clips and Twitter or X and threads and everything saying the finish was horrible. It was one of the most unique finishes I've seen. I've actually never seen that roll up ever. So the fact that they were able to transition and work it that way shows the skill of Lyra and how, even though she's kind of still a rookie, she's a veteran at heart. And Bayley and Becky even threw it up. They were like the 4 horsewomen, and they showed why they are, you know, the totem poles, you know, the foundation of the women's division. This match gave us everything. It was an emotional roller coaster. I loved it. What about you?
It's crazy to think that Becky Lynch has been in 2 heavily promoted triple threat championship matches in her career, and she won both of them by like a shitty roll up that people are complaining about online. WrestleMania 35, of course, being the first one, but I thought it was a great build. It told the story. Lyra Valkyria had some great spots. Bayley had some great spots. Nobody looked weak. And Becky gets to continue her reign that could honestly end at SummerSlam. Talking about her probably taking time off at some point. I mean, SummerSlam, your second biggest PLE of the years in 3 weeks. You could have Becky defend that title against Lyra one-on-one now, or against Bayley one-on-one. Who knows what they're going to do with Becky Lynch at SummerSlam now. But you can continue to tell that story, given that Evolution is the biggest women's event that you're going to have all year, paired with the fact that your second biggest PLE of the entire roster is only a few weeks away. You had to put on a big match while at the same time planning towards an even bigger match. And I don't know what that's going to be for Becky Lynch, but I thought the finish of that match made everybody look strong, which if Becky was going over, that's the main goal, is that they all look strong.
Yeah, exactly. And coming out of it, I think Becky Lynch, I don't know if you saw the promo that she cut on social media following this match, and she quoted herself being not Becky Hogan, but she's Becky Lynch, and she is forever Becky Lynch. And I love that. I love that Becky is, you know, putting her foot down, being like, you know what, I've worked my ass off. And if we're talking about a women's evolution, we talked about this last time. She is the evolution. That moment with the broken nose standing in the crowd, Becky Lynch is the evolution of women's wrestling, and I don't think we're ever going to take a step back from that. It's just going to get better and better and better. And I love the fact that at Evolution 2, it was Becky that came out on top. I would have accepted Bayley or Lyra as an IC champion. I think Bayley is about this close to showing that she's well deserving and carrying the women's division in the mid card. But I just think it was a nice little sweet spot to start the show. That it's Becky started it. Becky's in the mid card right now, and she's carrying it. And I love every point of that.
Yep. And she's doing her job. She's elevating that title and elevating everybody around her, which is what we've talked about since the get-go with Becky Lynch and the women's IC title. Lyra Valkyria was doing a good job, but she's new. She's fresh.
Yeah.
She needed a dance partner that's been there, that can get eyeballs on her storylines. And that's what Becky Lynch has been able to do, and she's knocked it out of the park. From whatever the plan was for this IC title reign of hers since she came back after WrestleMania in Vegas, it's gone according to plan. I'm pretty sure it's gone according to plan.
I agree. Guys, let us know in the comments how you feel the first match of the night ended, because I love the roll-up finish. I think Jack did as well. Like you mentioned, it was two crazy ones that the internet is going crazy about, and I don't see a problem with it. I think, like you said, it made everyone look strong. Moving into the first NXT showing of the night, JC Jane versus Jordynne Grace, with Fatal Influence in JC Jane's corner, and of course Blake Monroe, formerly known as Mariah May, asked and requested by Jordynne Grace to join her at ringside for this match for the NXT Women's Championship. Jack, please take this and run with this one, because I think we all saw it coming.
Yeah, is this not what you asked for a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Blake Monroe's potential first opponents in NXT?
Prayed
Jordynne
for it.
Grace versus Blake Monroe.
Yeah.
I feel like the writing was on the wall. When I saw her come out with her, I'm like, this face turn's not gonna last 1 second. Like it just looked odd, right?
Yeah.
Towards the end of the match, when everybody was picking up the title, I thought when Blake picked it up, she was gonna be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be mine soon. And she was just gonna go ballistic. I knew something was gonna happen. Something fishy was gonna happen. I knew that Jordynne Grace wasn't winning the title. So I thought that was the best alternative that they could have pulled off. I thought it was a little, shammy the way she just kind of hit her in the back of the legs with the title, and that's the way she cheated to win. But it is interesting. It shakes things up in the NXT Women's Championship scene now, with all three of them, right? And with SummerSlam around the corner, who knows? Maybe they main event a triple threat match in NXT. Maybe they main event, or maybe they have a triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship on a 2-night SummerSlam PLE. Who knows? Who knows what they're willing to do with that? But yeah, Blake Monroe, ever since she debuted in NXT, it's like, we know you're going to be a way better heel than you're going to be a babyface. And she's going to get cheered regardless. You're going to cheer regardless. I mean, you're still calling her Mariah May, for God's sakes, dude, Mariah May, dead. It's Blake Monroe now. Blake Monroe turned heel tonight, and I wouldn't even necessarily say she turned heel. She exposed herself for exploring her best interests.
Yeah.
And she's going to be that factor on NXT where everybody's going to be coming for her, and she's going to be coming for everybody.
I think you said to me in one of our recordings a couple of weeks ago, where you said you have a extreme overvaluation of Blake Monroe, aka Mariah May, something along those lines. And this is what I've been trying to tell everybody of how good she is. She's great with her little persona. I don't know if you saw it when she did the spot on the hard cam and she like fainted at the front. Yep. And it was just very dramatic, which is a very face version of what her character is. But I want to go back to after the pinfall, and you just look at her face, and it's just like, this entire division is hers. It's hers for the taking. The one thing I want to say, Jordynne Grace, I feel horrible for, because she's come over from TNA, and she was the big fish in the TNA roster. Now she's moved over to NXT. She's just fought for the NXT Women's Championship against, quote, the most beatable NXT champion ever, which I think that is the worst way to describe JC Jane, because if you look back at the last several years of what JC Jane has done and where she's been and where she's been situated in the women's division, she deserves a hell of a lot more credit than she is getting, because that woman has put work in, and I want to see her title reign last till about Survivor Series, to be honest. But with the look on Blake Monroe's face, this is what I've been saying from Progress. This is what I've been saying from Stardom. This is what I've been saying since AEW with that feud with Tony Storm. The WWE universe doesn't understand what is about to be unleashed in the women's division, and I loved every second of this. The match itself between JC and Jordynne, back and forth, broken nose for Jordynne Grace. Again, I'm going to reference social media. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Jordynne Grace's post about like a lot of people are in trouble right now. I loved that. JC Jane holding the title, but it looked like all of Fatal Influence was disturbed after the turn, if that's what we're gonna call it. Mariah May Blake Monroe comes in, hands the title over, but it wasn't like, here, this belongs to you. It's, here, hold on to this for me. That's what that photo was. So overall, man, what a showing for NXT to start the show, or second spot in the show.
And that's the thing. It was, everybody will tell you that's ever been in professional wrestling, you want to be the first match or you want to be the last match. Like, if you're not the last match, you want to be the first match. Yeah. The second match, that's like the dead spot. That's like the dead spot on the card, right? And NXT had an opportunity to showcase a great match, and they did. That was the special thing about this whole PLE, Steve, is that every single match, whether you were first, second, third, last, it didn't matter. You ran with it and you stole the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, guys, let me know in the comments, or let us know in the comments how you felt about, the turn. Is JC Jane the most beatable champion in NXT history? And where does Jordynne Grace and Blake Monroe, I won't say Mariah May, Blake Monroe, go from here? Going into a match that I thought I had predicted to a T, being the Fatal 4-Way tag team match. Now, Jack, before we both absolutely try and figure out what happened in this match, I thought a Fatal 4-Way tag team match was 4 women in the ring and they could tag out to their partner. That's what I thought that was, and that's how it was labeled. Like, it's a Texas Tornado tag match.
To me, that's how it should go regardless. Like, why were they tagging in their opponents? Like, why was Charlotte Flair tagging in Asuka? Like, that didn't make any sense to me.
Exactly, but also a traditional tag in any other match is, if you connect with somebody on the outside, that person is then legal in the match. So all the slaps, Charlotte slapping Zarya, Sol Ruka getting punched by Alexa Bliss, Raquel bumping into Asuka, those are all tags in my mind. So I don't want to shit all over the booking of this match, but a lot of things are very up for interpretation in this match. That's the best way I think we can put it. Overall, I don't understand Alexa and Charlotte getting built up as this we're not friends tag team, but really getting, obviously, the longest entrance, the biggest pop. Everyone seemed to be focused on Alexa and Charlotte, and the match finished with, I think it's the bleakest ending to any match of the night. And I'm not trying to disrespect Raquel and Roxy, because I know there's a story there, but it just felt everything was built to Alexa and Charlotte for this.
Well, that's the thing, is that there were 3 different stories going on. You have the whole Judgment Day cesspool storyline going on with, Raquel, Roxanne, Liv Morgan. Everybody in the Judgment Day has titles. So, maybe that should have been my first indicator. They're probably going to retain here, because why lose this at Evolution to Charlotte and Alexa? 2 WWE future Hall of Famers, 19 world championships between the 2 of them, right? 14 for Charlotte, 5 for Alexa. Both popular. They got the biggest pops. They got the longest entrances, and rightfully so. They were the 2 biggest people in the match. The Kabuki Warriors, former tag team champions in their own right, just got back together a few weeks ago. The other 2 were kind of just thrown together for this Fatal 4-Way match. It seems like there were so many, they're going to continue to tell the Charlotte and Alexa story. Maybe they go after the WWE women's, tag team titles, right? Do they have 2? Or is it
no?
It's
just that one. I think the way this goes is Alexa and Charlotte versus Raquel and Roxanne at SummerSlam. I think this is where we're gonna go. Yeah. Or another avenue is a ladder match with more tag champions or tag teams, but I think it's the straight up tag match, and that's where Alexa and Charlotte get their moment. The one biggest thing about this is I am so surprised at how the crowd turned. It was almost like Dirty Dom winning the IC title at WrestleMania. The crowd has not cheered for Charlotte this loud since she came back from her knee injury. And there's a moment in the match where you see Charlotte get a quick burst of energy, and she turns and you see her get overcome with emotion. And that meant a lot to Charlotte Flair, considering that really Charlotte Flair has never done anything wrong in her career except do what she's told, be the champion, unfortunately or fortunately be Ric Flair's daughter, and just move on about her business. Her personal life we don't care about. But in the ring, Charlotte Flair has done nothing wrong except for excel for the women's division. That's what I want to say about this. So the fact that the crowd finally came back to her, and a lot of credit to Alexa Bliss, because Alexa, like, that entrance had me in stitches, dude. The whole, like, put the arm up and just drape it across Alexa throw in Lily, that brought humanity. I think that's the best way to describe it. That brought Charlotte down to our level, the human level, and she's having fun with what she's doing. So I was really disappointed. This was the only disappointing part of this entire PLE for me. I thought it should have been Alexa and Charlotte, but we're here now and we have more story to tell.
Yeah, and like we said, SummerSlam's 3 weeks away. Maybe that's where they get their moment and they become the next Sheamus and Cesaro tag team of two unlikely former world champions being tag team champions. I don't know. Maybe that's the story they tell. The Judgment story, like if Roxanne dropped the titles with Raquel tonight, would that have added to their story? Maybe a little bit. But I think that maybe you give it a little bit more time, build up to a bigger match at SummerSlam where even maybe Liv Morgan gets involved. Maybe not in a physical capacity, but maybe she shows up. WWE's been known to utilize some of their injured talent on screen more and get the most out of them after they get injured. They have not done that with Liv Morgan. They did it with CM Punk.
Yep.
They did it with Drew McIntyre. We'll see whether or not they do it with Seth Rollins down the line. But I think there's a bigger match happening. As you said, maybe we get that tag team title match at SummerSlam in New Jersey, and then they tell a bigger story from there. But I look at this match as it was a great in-ring performance. When was the last time we heard "We Want Charlotte" chants? I don't think we've ever heard.
I don't think we ever heard.
We got that in Atlanta tonight. So for that alone, for Charlotte Flair getting a glimpse of support from the WWE universe, that's a win in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to Tiffany Stratton and nearly 50 years old Trish Stratus, who I think her and Tori Wilson have found the fountain of youth, and I would love to know where it is because they look incredible for their ages. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, and how does Trish Stratus walk into a ring and perform like it's 2001? 24 years ago. And actually, wait, it was 2006 that Trish retired, I believe.
Yep. And
she left the Women's World Championship in the ring. And tonight she walks out in that white and gold gear. And I, at one point, with the chick kick to the Stratusfaction, thought for a split second Trish Stratus was going to become an 8-time WWE Women's Champion. I was blown away.
Yeah, I mean, they could have pulled it off because with SummerSlam 3 weeks away, you just have the rematch, right?
Yeah.
They could have done it.
They absolutely could have done it, and I think there's a lot of credit, first off, to Tiffany Stratton, because I think the way they even presented this, Tiffany Stratton came in as the heel to this match. And Tiffany sold everything that Trish was putting through. Trish was on, like, and a lot of people criticized the feud between Becky and Trish a couple years ago, saying, oh my God, what a horrible few matches they had, and the cage match that they had was the culmination, which was great. But it's almost like Trish was just like, she went back to work, really trained her ass off, and showed that, you know, she still got it. And I loved it. I thought Tiffany and Trish told a great story. They had people on the edge of their seats, and I think this is what they needed because the build was so short. They had people on the edge of their seats, which really brought more authenticity to this match. And you weren't an outsider watching, like, why are these two women wrestling? There was a full story told. So I was really impressed with the Trish Stratus performance, but even Tiffany Stratton, like the way she carried the match and carried herself in this match, being like, okay, now I'm the greatest. Now I'm the greatest. What are you going to do about it? Who's next? Like, it's like, okay, she pushed her aside. What's next? I thought they told one story and built into another in like 5 minutes. It was great.
Yep. Well, I know who's next. Jade Cargill is next, and that's going to be no easy challenger for Tiffany Stratton. I think Jade Cargill can honestly win the WWE Women's Championship at SummerSlam now, considering her path is very clear.
Yeah.
But that was a great match to have at an all women's PLE, the second one ever. Your current face of the women's division, if it's not Rhea Ripley, it's Tiffany Stratton against the greatest of all time on the women's side in Trish Stratus. She retired in 2006, but as John Cena has said repeatedly this year, there's not a real retirement in professional wrestling because they all come back, and Trish has definitely come back came back in 2011, I think was the first time, and then she's been back sporadically throughout the years since then over the last 14 years. Tonight was a great match. Again, what we got from Goldberg last night at Saturday night's main event, you couldn't have asked for more. Couldn't have asked for more from what we saw from Trish Stratus tonight. At how old is she? Is she late 40s, early 50s?
Late 40s. I think she's I think she's like 49, 48.
Which is crazy because she was a veteran 15 years ago, man. And the fact that she's not even 50 years old yet is astounding to me.
Yeah.
But those two told the story that they could have told in a 2-week build-up for Evolution. I thought that Tiffany Stratton knocked Trish Stratus out cold with that prettiest moonsault ever at the end. It kind of looked like she didn't hit her on the stomach. It seemed like her stomach hit her right on the nose.
She hit her eye.
It looked really, and the cameras, much like how like they panned away from Seth Rollins after he, whatever he did to his knee last night, it almost looked like they were panning away from Trish Stratus because she was almost out cold. Like I was surprised to see her in the ring getting her flowers, like waving to the crowd because I'm like, I thought she was out cold. You could even see the referee like telling Tiffany Stratton to go away, right?
Well, no, she dove in. Jessica Carr, it was Jessica Carr, right? Yeah, it was Jessica Carr. She dove in and she did the tried to get the hand, and you saw Trish's mouth move. So she went straight to the count. The cover. But I was like, when she hit, I was like, her quad hit Trish square in the face. Like, I was like, oh my God, that woman is knocked out. Like, listen, if you go back to SmackDown and when they cut their promos, Tiffany standing to the side, her quads are the size of Trish Stratus's torso. And that's not a negative thing. That just shows how much work she's put in as a gymnast. But something like that hitting you when you're a tiny person, god damn. I thought she was out too, and I was concerned. So like you said, with the swan song and getting the flowers, my God. Like, thank God Trish was okay. But again, the match turned out very well. And overall, 4 matches we've talked about, this is just becoming a repetitive thing. This entire pay-per-view was great. But you did mention Jade Cargill and potentially winning the WWE Women's Championship at SummerSlam. Let's go into this no-holds-barred match, which was chaotic.
Yeah. What you want on a no-holds-barred match.
Yeah, chaotic. Bianca Belair as the referee. First off, before we go anywhere, and this is no way, shape, or form me taking any disregard to Bianca Belair. I feel Bianca was lost in what was going on the entire time. Like, she just felt like she was in the wrong spot. It just felt off for me with Bianca. Like, I know she was the special guest referee. It just didn't feel smooth, if that makes sense.
It didn't feel smooth, and at the same time, like when you get inserted as the special guest referee as a superstar who also has like a blood feud with the two people. It's like when Seth Rollins was the special guest referee at SummerSlam last year between Drew and Punk, right?
Yeah.
You knew that he was going to get involved physically at some point. Like eventually CM Punk hit him with the GTS, right?
Yeah.
And it cost CM Punk the match. Bianca didn't really get involved physically. Like she wasn't a superstar slash referee. Like she was legitimately just the special guest referee for this match. It was almost as if like me or you was put out there with no earpiece to hear Paul Levesque in our ear telling us what to do.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it felt like.
And it's kind of funny. I even looked, and she did have the earpiece attached to her, so she was getting calls, and it just felt very awkward. But again, let's focus on the match. Jade and Naomi. It was the first time I've seen a toolbox used since Hell in a Cell between Drew and CM Punk, which was wild. And that just showed how much effort they were putting into the blood feud of this match. So this match overall, I loved the finish. I think the finish was very unique because it needed to establish Jade to the point that this is now done between her and Naomi, and the after effects of the PLE really gave us that. But Jade herself, she is Queen Bee on SmackDown now. Like, she is what SmackDown is going to be going out of 2025. I think, honestly, like we just said, Jade is the women's WWE champion going into WrestleMania.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Who knows what's going to happen at SummerSlam, and that's why I think this is going to be such a fun feud between Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton, because we could quite honestly, in my opinion, see the return of the heel Tiffany Stratton, right? Because Jade Cargill is a very prominent, very high talented babyface right now.
Mm-hmm.
Who could be a good heel. I just don't see that being the direction. I think Tiffany Stratton just beat the greatest of all time. They're going to go in the direction of her calling herself the greatest of all time. Who's going to beat me? I'm better than everybody else.
Yep.
That's a heel. That's heel Tiffany Stratton at its finest. And she's just such a good heel as is.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to put her back into that role. Maybe she cheats to win at SummerSlam, and that's like the beginning of her heel turn. Maybe it's like a slow heel turn, to where it's like she's still kind of a face, but like doing bad things to where you know, like, okay, they're turning her heel.
Yeah.
Or they just give the title to Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton snaps down the line. And then we go into that feud heading into the fall of Tiffany versus Jade Cargill, because now that we got Jade and Naomi out of the way, and that was a very poetic ending, off the top rope, finisher into the table, the 1-2-3 from Bianca Belair. Like, that's what we thought we were going to get at SummerSlam, right? Like, we were pitching like the possibility of like having a triple threat or a cash in at SummerSlam between all three. That was the way to finish off that feud at Evolution, the women's WrestleMania of PLEs, right? Evolution, you know, you can't say it's not, because it's the only women's PLE event. And I think that was the way to go about it. You know, it wasn't at one of the biggest PLEs of the year to finish off that. What was it, like almost 8 months worth of building?
Yeah.
That feud, if not longer. That they got rid of it. They that was the best way that they could have possibly ended it from an in-ring perspective when it comes to telling that story. Now Jade Cargill could potentially be the WWE Women's Champion, while Naomi is now the World Champion. And I'm assuming she's going to move to Monday Night Raw now.
Oh, she has to. Yeah, that's the guarantee. So,
and we could get another Naomi and Jade Cargill match potentially at Crown Jewel.
Crown Jewel's in Perth this year, right? Yeah, so
correct, but I still think it's going to be champion versus champion.
That would be wild. Imagine them putting it all on the line, though. Like, just
not going to happen.
You never know.
They're getting that yay high, yay big championship belt that nobody wants.
Oh God, yeah, we don't need that in Perth, though. You think they're going to get that in Perth?
I think so. I mean, if you're going to do it 1 year, you may as well continue the tradition.
I thought that was just a Saudi thing. Oh well, we'll see how it goes.
We'll find out.
Definitely. Let's move into the Evolution Battle Royal. Now, when we talked going into Evolution, talking about what this match was going to be, I think I personally misconstrued when I heard Battle Royal. I thought Royal Rumble. I thought every 3 minutes, a new entrant. I thought we were going to get big surprises. I thought we were going to get returns and, all that kind of stuff. And no, it was just a battle royal with 15 minutes of entrances and over the top rope eliminations. I was really disappointed with the delivery of the battle royal. The finish, on the other hand, I think everyone involved in that finish was in the right spot. The Lash Legends, the Stephanie Vaquers, the Nia Jaxes, the Lola Vices. I think everyone that was in that final 6 area was where they deserved to be. But maybe it was a misconception on my part, but I expected so much more from this battle royal.
Well, when you expected it to be a Royal Rumble match, of course you're going to be disappointed. I mean, a battle royal is nothing like a Royal Rumble match, and I feel like the PLE would have to be way longer in order for that to be an every 3 minutes a new superstar enters. I thought it was going to be one of those matches where they just showcase everybody and then just a big name one. I honestly, I wasn't even thinking Stephanie Vaquer. I was thinking Nikki Bella was going to win that and then face whoever the champion was in Paris, right? Tiffany versus Nikki in Paris. That kind of writes itself. So I was just kind of entertained by the whole thing. Nia Jax eliminating people left and right, and then getting eliminated. Stephanie Vaquer almost delivering her finisher to Nikki Bella, which the fans oddly got really behind.
I wanted that
really
so bad.
Behind.
I wanted that so bad. I'm not the biggest.
Really,
yeah.
Really, they really wanted it. And then Chelsea Green and her merry group of females got involved, but.
Yeah, no, I'm not the biggest Nikki Bella fan. So when I saw that happen, I'm like, let's go. Damn it, Chelsea. Damn it, I don't associate you as a Canadian anymore. You can stay over in the States. We're just gonna stick with that. But overall, it was a great delivery of the finish. Lash Legend, Atlanta Girl, one of the biggest up and comers out of NXT, which I think they need to utilize more. I think she's been overstepped because of the people that have come in, like the Julias, the Stephanie Vaquers, the Blake Monroes, the Jordan Graces. Stop, dude. Come on. What?
I told you, you're never gonna let it go. You have to let her go.
I'm trying. The Blake Monroe
dead and buried, man. It was a good run. The Tony Storm angle, the everything was great about her whole AEW run, but she's dead and buried, man. Okay. Don't even know who Mariah May is.
Okay, so the Blake Monroes of the world, those people of the world have kind of overshadowed the longevity of the Lash Legends, the Lola Vices, the JC Janes, the Kalani Jordans that have been in NXT for quite some time. So I think it was great that Lash Legend got that moment. And even though it was a crazy finish, and the finish on the apron I really enjoyed, and I'm pretty sure Booker T did as well, I think it actually put Lash over that she got eliminated in that fashion by, one of the next female champions on the main roster.
Yep, no doubt. And I will say, the post-match interview of Stephanie McMahon speaking to Stephanie Vaquer in Espanol.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was cool or not. I will say, and this is not a knock on her, because she is if Trish Stratus isn't the greatest of all time, Stephanie McMahon is. Just from her promo work and the stories that she's been able to tell. I feel like she's gotten a lot more awkward on camera and on the mic since she's kind of come back and had cameo appearances since WrestleMania 40. Do you agree, or am I kind of just shooting crosshairs on that one?
No, I don't think you are. I think when it comes to Stephanie McMahon, I think it still sits in the back of her mind that she is a McMahon and she's uncomfortable because of everything else that happened. It has nothing to do with her being on camera. I think she's still no longer a partial owner of the company. She's no longer Vince's daughter, when on camera, she is Triple H's wife and Stephanie McMahon. Not in that order, but she is just Stephanie McMahon now.
At what point do you think she goes by Stephanie Levesque whenever she makes appearances?
Never.
Really?
I think
you think she'll always wear the McMahon name?
I think she has deliberately done that. She could have 2 years ago come out when she announced, what was it, WrestleMania 40 in Philly, night 2, and she announced the Paul Levesque era. She could have come out as Stephanie Levesque. I think she has put her foot down and said, no, I'm still Stephanie McMahon. But at the end of the day, like, we just can't reference a lot of the things that are happening. So yeah. Overall, I think that the conversation between Stephanie Vaquer and Stephanie McMahon was a little awkward, but I think it was just trying to solidify that WWE is moving forward with Stephanie Vaquer as one of the main women on the roster. That I think that's a great way they've done it, and the fans seem to be behind it, so it was great.
Is it main event time? Can we talk about the main event?
Yeah, if you want to lead into it, go right ahead.
All right, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky. We're both watching. We're both texting each other, right? Yep. Great back and forth. Yep. Great build. Yep. Honestly, wasn't expecting the referee bump. I thought this was just going to be like a nice back and forth 25-minute match between two legends. My assumption was that Rhea Ripley was going to win back the world title tonight. Of course. Yeah. That was my assumption heading into SummerSlam, because that you kind of can tell a story with the world title moving into SummerSlam if she wins the title back. She celebrates, confetti goes everywhere, pyro. That's the ending of a great Evolution PLE, right? That's what I'm thinking. The referee gets knocked down, then all of a sudden this is a Falls Count Anywhere match. They're in the stands. They're in the back. They're by the production truck. They're everywhere. I'm like, is this just going to end in a no contest? Is this going to end in a no contest and we just set up a big rematch for SummerSlam? They get back into the ring. Io Sky hits the powerbomb on the floor. The referee gets to her feet, and I'm thinking, oh, Io Sky's just going to win after all of this brawling. After Rhea was supposed to win, now Io Sky is going to win just because the referee's back in action. Hits the finisher, 1, 2, and I told you this. I thought that was one of the biggest false finishes I've ever seen for a women's match ever. I thought that was it. I was walking out of my apartment to come here to this studio to talk to you about Evolution and the instant reaction for us, and then she kicked out, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
We're still going?
Yeah. I will say this. There are two things. You sent me a text, and I will pull the screenshot. No clue how this is going to end. And I said, I'm so lost. That may have been, as you just said, one of the best women's false finishes ever. I said, hands down, no idea what's next. Then
the thing is, I truly didn't know what was next until I think Rhea hit the, I don't know what you call that off the top rope where they both flipped.
The Spanish Fly.
The Spanish Fly, and they were both wiped out from that. Yeah. And I'm thinking, and this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns after the F5. Yeah. They're both just laying in the middle of I'm like, Naomi's music's going to hit.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's going to successfully cash in, but she's definitely coming out.
Yeah.
She went through that table, perfect ending to that story with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. But I'm like, yeah, Naomi's music has to hit here.
Yeah.
And it did.
Yeah, and I was really excited for that because when I saw her come out, I go back to her TNA days. Like, I didn't see Naomi in this situation, and I think I've spoken to you about this many times. I don't see this version of Naomi as Naomi. I see Trinity. Like, I see Trinity every time she's out there on camera because this is the version that WWE didn't give her last time she was contracted with WWE. I love this version, and Trinity coming out to that music, and then you knew it was all over. And what I love is Rhea has still never beaten Io. So that story is still there for the future. Maybe a year or two down the line. That story is there for the future. But this conversation at the end of this video is all about Naomi, aka Trinity Fatu, getting her moment, which is so well deserved because she is. Oh, go ahead. Oh, you're acknowledging.
Acknowledge her.
You're acknowledging her.
Bringing the world championships back to the bloodline,
Yo,
baby.
I'll tell you right now.
Her.
Drew McIntyre put out a tweet the other day saying, if you want to get pushed in WWE, you change your name to Fatu. And she returned saying, hey, this is why I changed my name to Fatu. Listen, that has nothing to do why she's getting a push. She is that talented. Her character development, her in-ring ability, and everything else shows why Naomi is on top of the women's division on Monday Night Raw right now. And I just want to go back to one point about this. You know, this main event was 26 and a half minutes. Think about this. When was the last time we got a 26-minute women's match? And it felt like it flew by.
That's where we got lost, when they were just beating the crap out of each other in the stands. I'm like, this isn't ending anytime soon, and I thought it was going to end 10 minutes ago.
Exactly. But that's not a bad thing. That just shows how these women were carrying the entire story out. So overall, I think the main event did the entire pay-per-view justice. The entire pay-per-view did itself justice, but the main event was the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae, because I don't think we've been able to find really any negative points except for how the tag match finished, and we were confused about that. But overall, this PLE was something special, and as wrestling fans, like, I know you are a deep hardcore wrestling fan, and so am I. As wrestling fans, we need to look at where the development of the women's division has come from to where it is now, and just say, you know what? Applause, tap on the back for every woman that was involved in this entire PLE. Jack, this is my favorite part of the video because you and I get very close with our rankings. Out of 10, where are you going with WWE's Evolution 2 2025?
I mean, is it ridiculous of me to rate it a 9 out of 10? I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay.
From top to bottom, it wasn't flawless. We talked about the tag team match. It wasn't flawless. The Battle Royal wasn't flawless up until the end.
Yep.
There were some hiccups, for sure. But the way it started, the moments that we had sprinkled out throughout it, we had the conclusion to a 9-month build between, Naomi, Jade Cargill, and Bianca Belair in a great no-holds-barred match. We had legends sprinkled in everywhere in the arena. We got an excuse me from Vicky Guerrero, of all people.
Loved it.
We got an epic pop for Mark Henry at a women's PLE. Shout out to Busted Open. Congrats to them for their co-host Mark Henry getting probably one of the biggest pops he's ever gotten, honestly.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Even he was like, guys, come on. Like, this isn't about me.
Yeah, 100%.
And then it ends with a very, very unpredictable championship match between two of the very best that the women's division has to offer in World Wrestling Entertainment on the main roster.
Yep.
And it added a new twist that we weren't really expecting, right?
Yeah.
We had the conclusion to a rivalry tonight. In about an hour, we had the start of a new one with Naomi, who is heavily touted to cash in on the WWE Women's Champion on SmackDown. She was going after Tiffany Stratton. She was going after Jade Cargill, whoever the champ was. Now it looks like she's heading over to Netflix on Monday Night Raw to take on Io Sky and Rhea Ripley heading into SummerSlam out of nowhere. And it adds a whole new dynamic to the World's Women's Championship scene on Monday Night Raw. So even comparing it to the first Evolution in 2018, I give it a 9 out of 10.
Fair enough. Like, personally, I didn't rank the first Women's Evolution. I think they struggled to get by because it was more focused on the future and the past. And tonight was what we have and what we're bringing to the table for the future. That's what I loved about it. I'm gonna stick with a safe 8 out of 10. I'm gonna stick with a safe 8 out of 10. The tag match really confused me because, again, it goes back to, and we'll dive into it in the next video, but it's just like the Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross choke out compared to Goldberg and Gunther, right? It's like, why did the rules change when it's, you know, whatever it is. And then the Battle Royal, even though I got confused, even watching the Battle Royal, still slightly disappointing. So I'm going to go 8 out of 10 because all the women still turned up and really showed out in Atlanta for Women's Evolution 2025. Guys,
they were warming the seat for the MLB All-Star Week in Atlanta, baby. They were warming it up, and we're off to a raucous start. And I can't wait for next year's event because this should be a yearly PLE.
Jack, close us out.
Guys, remember to comment, like, and subscribe on the channel at Straight Shoot Podcast. Steve, plug yourself. I'm at Jack O'Hara TV on all platforms. Please come yell at me. Come comment on our weird, disgusting, diabolical takes that we have sometimes, like giving, you know, praise to Stephanie McMahon for speaking in Spanish to Stephanie Vaquer. I don't know why that came to my mind. The fact that Steve constantly calls Blake Monroe Mariah May, and the fact that he has some weird hate for Nikki Bella, he kind of threw that in there. I didn't want to elaborate on it a little bit.
It's not a weird hate. I didn't like
Bella
the Divas
Army,
division.
Bella Army, take all of your hate and head on over to Mr. Tesh, at Mr. Tesh, all over social media, please.
Dude, just because you got a thing for Arizona doesn't mean you have to throw the whole Nikki Bella
Scottsdale,
army
man.
at
I'm
him.
Scottsdale through and through.
Jesus, we'll talk.
Proud friend of JJ Garcia as well, my friend.
We'll talk about this.
I will never diss the Garcia family.
We'll talk about this off air. Anyway, guys, like, subscribe, put the bell on for all notifications. Like always, be good people.